Hello and welcome to the show. This is Martin Willis, your host, and we're running a special show this night. But tomorrow we'll be back again with Ron Jennings. But I just wanted to say this is just before the premiere of season 5 of The Search, The Secret. Sorry about that. The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch History Channel, and it premieres tomorrow night, Tuesday at 9 Central. So check that out. I am lucky enough to have been able to watch the screener. That's one of the advantages of doing what I do. I get to see these things sometimes in advance, and it's kicking off with a great season. So I'm going to play the trailer right now for that.
Go. We are on the cusp of discovering the secret of Skinwalker Ranch. The world is watching.
This season on The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch.
We need to flood Skinwalker Ranch with instruments. Maybe we send 1.6 gigahertz at it.
This is unlike any experiment we've done before.
Heads up, they're coming down!
Oh my God, is there some invisible force causing this to happen?
What is inside the mesa?
Look at that. It's like jelly. I don't know what the hell that is.
The data shows the triangle could be a wormhole.
No way.
I don't think the public is ready for what you got.
Is the military letting us know we're being watched?
Do they know something we don't? What is that?
The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch. New season premieres Tuesday, April 23rd at 10. Part of History's Strange and Unusual. Only on the History Channel.
Brandon, welcome to the show again.
Hey, it's great to be with you, and we're excited to unveil a new season and a wealth of information and events that have occurred over the course of this last year at the most scientifically studied paranormal hotspot on the planet, Skinwalker Ranch.
Yeah, I would say that that absolutely is the most studied one. And just this season, it appears to be just as a lot of activity. Just the screener. The screener that I watched. It was like, wow.
Yeah.
So many unexplainable things. It seems like constantly there. I can't give away too much about the first episode, but I will say that 2 helicopters were involved, and that was pretty fascinating.
Yeah, we've really upped the ante. We have devoted even more resources than ever before in service to getting the answers and understanding what the hell is happening at Skinwalker Ranch. What is the origin agenda, the nature of the high strangeness that has been recorded for decades, if not millennia, there on the ranch and the surrounding area. And we've been fortunate to pull together a diverse team of experts and professional assistants in service to getting those answers and studying this very mysterious piece of property.
Right. And, I understand, what is it, like 512 acres total?
Yeah. So Skinwalker Ranch is 512 acres, located right in the heart of what we call the Uinta Basin in northeastern Utah. It is surrounded by Native American tribal property. So it's sequestered in the center of thousands of acres, and it features what I believe to be one of the most strikingly beautiful backdrops and landscapes in the world. It's not only mysterious and holds a lot of mystery, but it also is very, very beautiful. You have a red rock mesa plateau that runs the entire expanse of the property with cave systems. You have old pioneer homesteads located that are still barely standing, situated across the property, and you have water snaking way, it's kind of snaking its way through several aspects of the property. We have a dry gulch creek and other features that create just a really interesting backdrop. One of the things that I think sets this last year apart from every other year is our investigation moving into other parts of the ranch. No one has really studied the Dry Gulch Creek. and the waterway that is cut through this property that has been an interesting feature, but something avoided or ignored by the previous investigations and ownership. We dive into it, and we also look at the environment. We bring in personnel and experts that look at the environment in a way that has never been studied. So I think people are going to be quite surprised by what ends up unfolding. You can see in the trailer that you just played, there are some very intense and harrowing events that occur that caught us off guard that we're still trying to process.
Right, right. As far as the homesteads go, do you know, is there any idea when some of those were abandoned and why they were abandoned?
100 years ago, some were abandoned, about 100 years ago, and some were still in use. I think upwards of, back to the 1950s and 1960s. And so it's interesting. You see different timelines associated with the property and the habitation of this property that create some real interesting dynamics. We do have reports of cattle mutilation activity, bizarre cattle mutilation, other activity that goes back nearly 100 years, back to the 1930s, specifically in the area of the homesteads on the property.
How is this documented? Is it like in newspaper clippings or something like that?
Yeah. Some of it's family histories. So we've had interviews with family members, those that lived on the property before. I mean, we've interviewed law enforcement. In fact, we've had several law enforcement professionals, a retired deputy sheriff who responded to numerous events that occurred on the property, and then in the 1980s, predating the Shermans, Bigelow, and going back to some of the earlier occupants, the Myers couple, the Kenneth and Edith Myers. That sheriff or former sheriff has continued to be a wealth of information for us and has firsthand accounts of responding to disturbing activity on the property.
Now, one of the things I just want to touch on just briefly, because I'm sure you hear it all the time, is what are the skeptics saying about what you're finding? I mean, I read all kinds of things out there, and some people are saying absolutely nothing's happening and it's just all fluff, and that can quickly be contradicted just by watching a single episode and the equipment you're using and all that.
Yeah, when you have data, hard data, which we have and we have presented to the public in a very transparent fashion, demonstrating that we have everything from electromagnetic anomalies to equipment malfunction that cannot be I think explained, coupled with acute medical episodes and video documenting everything from unidentified aerial phenomena to some of the other strange interactions on that property. It's impossible to deny the reality. Yeah. Anyone who does their due diligence, who is actually paying attention, will see that that we continue to present hard data and evidence that there's definitely not only something going on at Skinwalker Ranch, but we are definitely not alone. And the nature of our reality is far more complex than we would originally have thought.
It seems like I say that a lot these days too on my other shows, that we know so little about what is actually going on around us.
Yeah, even the nature of consciousness itself is something that comes up that is a point of study relative to what is happening at Skinwalker Ranch. The nature of it is it's interesting. It's diverse. I think there are multiple origins and agendas that are afoot here. You have malevolent, negative intent that accompanies some of the activity that has actually injured people. I mean, we've had a number of people end up in the hospital with mysterious illnesses and injuries as a result of their activity on the ranch. And we've had some that have had peaceful experiences that believe that there are benevolent entities and forces on this property, as well as benign. So there really seems to be a diversity of activity and agendas that we are desperately trying to understand.
Now, would you venture to take a guess at what you think may be actually happening there? There's a lot of different theories. One of them I kind of tend to think is stronger than the others, but it's only my opinion, and that's the interdimensional type of situation, the portals and all that. But do you have like a thought in your mind with what the possibilities could be?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, consulting scientists have theorized that there is a wormhole or portal to other dimensions, if not to other worlds, on this property. The continuous GPS malfunction and some of the other strange space-time anomalies that we've documented that have no conventional explanation lead us to that being potential here on the property. We're also seeing this as a potential interstellar or interdimensional highway or spaceport, if you will, to just draw kind of a term from science fiction, due to the unidentified aerial phenomena that seems to coincide and correlate with the electromagnetic anomalies and the acute medical episodes that happen. So, all of those data points and correlations point to something very, very unusual and groundbreaking occurring on this property that we are finally documenting and presenting to the public in a very, very dynamic fashion for the first time.
Mm-hmm. The thing that I hear a lot, well, people will say, "Hey, have you heard about this place in Georgia? It's the Skinwalker Ranch of Georgia."
Yeah.
It is kind of funny how it's used as a barometer type of situation. But
Yeah, it's become Mecca for the paranormal to a degree. We have people show up at our gates all day, every day, taking pictures or wanting to have a photo op and very curious people from all over the world journey to the area in order to catch a glimpse of the property. And of course, it's a secure site. I mean, we have it under guarded 24/7, 365 days a year surveillance, and we're conducting a very sensitive scientific investigation. I think it is important to note that this property has been secure and locked down and under armed surveillance since 1996, when Bob Bigelow established his effort with the National Institute of Discovery Science that initiated the first phase of investigation and efforts on Skinwalker Ranch that continue to this day under our stewardship.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can't really picture the lay of the land there and, driving up to it and all that. But I'm wondering, do any of your neighbors have to secure their property?
Yeah, the neighbors who have all been interviewed by members of our team and members of Bigelow's team that preceded us have gone on record with their own experiences. Anyone who has spent a good measured amount of time in the Uinta Basin and in this subject area has typically observed something that they cannot explain that is unusual. But the neighbors have reported everything from UFO activity to cattle mutilation activity on their properties for a very long time.
But they're not being hassled by the public. When they can't get into your gate. I mean, first of all, they probably drive up to it, like you say, and it's under guard and all that. But just and by the way, just to send the message out there, you should not do that.
No,
I mean,
no, it's not only dangerous because we really do have acute medical episodes that occur, and people have as recent as just the last few months have had some incidents but we really are conducting a very sensitive scientific investigation and study of this property. And we try to always be respectful of not only the neighbors but the cultural traditions. Our
Sure.
team,
Mm.
we've engaged Native American spiritual advisors and shaman in service to really understanding the cultural history and some of the more sacred elements of their traditions that may provide some answers and insight. You'll see more of that featured as we continue to unveil, how much our investigation has progressed, and we bring in also, additional law enforcement and, people that are responding, professionals responding to incidents that continue to underscore the reality of what is transpiring out in this area.
Now, I remember there was a radiation spike. I think Travis Taylor felt sick, and there was like just in around him or whatever, and he had like a spike on his equipment, and that's really another thing that's really unusual. But what are the sicknesses that people are complaining about, and is it any long lasting?
Yes, I mean, some have continued to monitor lasting effects. I mean, thankfully, a lot of the injuries that have occurred have healed, and Dr. Taylor, for example, has been able to continue on and has been able to move past it. But everything from radiation spikes to those who've been rendered catatonic or comatose on the property,
Mm.
which continues to be unexplained as far as the mechanism behind that. We also have, even our caretaker, Tom Lewis, who had a cardiac event in the middle of an experiment being conducted with probing the mesa,
Mm.
the digging activity that attended the experiment. And who knows it? We know that correlation does not necessarily mean causation, but there was an immediate reaction that occurred, and he was run to the hospital by Dragon, and it was quite an intense episode and
Mm.
event that had us all really worried. But we have to carry devices with every effort on that property. I mean, when we bring experts and third parties from outside to participate, monitoring the environment is an important part of trying to keep everyone safe. And we've had to evacuate the ranch on several occasions. Uh,
Wow.
when we see those energy spikes and some of the more erratic readings, we are quick to take action. I think it's important to note that we have not been able to identify the source. It appears transient and moves across the property and is gone just as soon as it shows up sometimes, and that's disturbing and speaks to the strange nature of what we are really observing on a fairly regular basis at Skinwalker Ranch.
Now, one of the theories is there could be some geological, phenomenon there of some kind, and
Yeah.
and then you dig and have trouble. And now I see in the trailer for this year that there's going to be some drilling going on.
Sure.
Uh,
Yeah, we continue to probe the mesa, but we have to do so with great care. I mean, it's a very unstable, dangerous environment. You have these huge rocks that are, the size of automobiles that come down that are very unstable, and we don't want to damage the very uh, object or you know anomaly that may be buried within that mesa and that area of the ranch. So we're careful. We have brought in some of the leading environmental and soil testing professionals,
mm.
and eh, we continue to to, to scratch our heads as to what is really going on here.
And as far as the triangle, I've heard that used. Is there like hot spots there other than that? Other than that
Sure.
triangle area?
Yeah, the triangle has been a point of interest. For whatever reason, we've seen a high frequency of strange activity occurring above the triangle, UFO activity, the unidentified aerial phenomena, coupled with some of the other, equipment manipulation, malfunction. Uh, but in addition to the area of the triangle, we've also seen some really disturbing and interesting things play out in the area of the old homesteads. We have
Hmm.
Homestead 2 and Homestead 3 out on the far reaches of the property that have been the subject of study and investigation, and we've recorded all sorts of strange events, everything from the environment changing instantaneously in reaction to everything from Native American shaman to a rabbi in years past that has participated in some of the research. But the homesteads, the triangle, the mesa, and now Dry Gulch Creek and the other regions of the property have fallen under the gaze of our expanded investigation, and we've been deploying assets in service to studying those areas and getting answers.
Now, do you have? Does the property have? I think they call them deer cams or something that's motion activated in
Yeah,
several places.
yeah. In addition to over 50 surveillance cameras in service, along with FLIR, infrasonic sensors, and thermographic imaging, we have motion sensor cameras strategically positioned that we will rotate from time to time, and other instrumentation, magnetometers and devices that are looking at every aspect of the environment in order to understand the nature of what we're dealing with, and whether there are patterns or correlations that emerge that can provide answers. So yeah, it's the surveillance efforts and platforms that I've deployed on this property are unprecedented on any private investigation that I'm aware of.
Right, right. I remember speaking to John Alexander, who was part of the team there, Bigelow's team, and mentioned that a camera suddenly like dropped or something. When something happened, it went out right while something was happening. Have you had any experiences like that you're aware of?
Yeah, all the time. We've documented equipment being manipulated. We've seen things move on the property that have absolutely no explanation. That harkens to more of a poltergeist type of explanation. If you listen to some people, some experts, but the the nature of what we're dealing with is quite a mystery, and is something that we're trying to reveal to the public in real time
Mhm.
as this unfolds.
Well, I personally had I don't know what to call it, but I guess poltergeist would be the easiest answer to it. But I really did have an experience in a home years ago. So I know that these things actually can happen because I witnessed it firsthand. And so I understand these things happen. And when I first read the book, I think it was 2005 with Kelleher and George Knapp, both that
Right.
book. I remember hearing things about, things missing and showing up, in different places. And something was up in a tree, like a post hole digger or something like that. All
Right.
these things happening. Are there things actually being moved as well? Are you aware of any of that
Yeah,
type of situation?
we've caught it on camera,
Hmm.
and as far as the movement, with really no explanation for who or what is responsible. It's quite baffling. Uh, w- Trying to determine whether we are dealing with otherworldly
Hmm.
or other dimensions of reality and entities from those dimensions that for some reason have passage and have the ability to access our reality and our environment is a key part of what our science team have been exploring.
Hmm. Now, have you yourself ever had like a really bad feeling there, any type of like anxiety, like something was not feeling quite right?
Yeah, yeah, I've had a couple of times where I've felt compelled to leave, where there's been a dark, foreboding kind of presence or feeling that comes without any warning. I've also had periods of time where I haven't felt anything. And in fact, the first 6 months that I owned this property, after acquiring the property, the 1st of April 2016 from Bob Bigelow, I didn't observe or experience anything strange. I was flying in on my helicopter, periodically for briefings and to meet with my team and review kind of the progress that they are making in studying and documenting the environment. And from April until mid-October of 2016, I have to be honest, I didn't feel anything. I was taken aback by how spectacular the property was as far as the beauty of the landscape, and captivated by the homesteads, these structures,
Oh yeah.
and was was quite I was quite intrigued by the 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 history of the property, but I thought that there was a natural prosaic explanation for everything that had occurred, and those first 6 months seemed to confirm that there wasn't really anything unusual happening. And then everything changed. Everything can change in a moment. I had my own perspective change, where I went from being an open-minded skeptic to not a believer but an experiencer, or over the course of just several hours on October 14th, 2016, where we not only saw our phones drain from 80% to zero, and other strange behavior of our phones and the equipment, but uh, one individual that was there that was attending as security was rendered catatonic for a period of 10 minutes and had missing time. And following that event, a group of us traveling back to obtain our phones from being charged at the security trailer saw what can only be described as a UFO. It was a flying saucer. It was a 40, 50-foot long silver grayish disc-like object that appeared
Wow.
right above the mesa in front of us. It was fairly close in proximity, and it was clear as day. It was 4 o'clock in the afternoon on
Wow.
October 14th of that year, and it maneuvered in ways that defy any conventional explanation. And in the event, which lasted only about 20 seconds, left us all with our jaws uh, you know, open, and our entire perspective and worldview changed. And that day marked a shift where I began devoting even more resource and effort, and pulled together an expanded team in service to getting the answers and to documenting the reality of what I'd seen with my own eyes, with multiple credible witnesses at my side. We were all sequestered after that event by our principal investigator, Eric Bard, who
Oh yeah.
continues to guide the science effort. And the detailed, documented accounts from all of us that witnessed that event are exactly the same. We weren't hallucinating. It wasn't something that that was varied between each person. I mean, it was consistent across the board, and it continues to be one of the more spectacular accounts of activity on the property. But I think when you have electromagnetic anomalies, equipment malfunction, acute medical episodes matched with UAP or UFO activity, it it's a whole new ball game. And that's what we have here at Skinwalker Ranch, is a hotbed of activity dealing with these kind of events.
Nothing like a good sighting changing your mind about things. But you brought up a very good point that I'd like to just talk about quickly, and that is, I've heard this before from a really good investigator in Sweden, is if you have an encounter and there's several witnesses, don't talk about it. Just go somewhere quickly, separately, and write things down, or get an account of video, record yourself, or whatever. Right. But that's and sometimes these people will be side by side and see something entirely different, which I think is just as interesting as it being the same.
Yeah, it's difficult at times to be able to determine whether we're dealing with something that is nuts and bolts, that has physical structure, as opposed to luminous phenomena that may be different in its composition. We've documented and reported all of that. I mean, last year, one of the more spectacular events was seeing this bright object descend and enter the mesa and then exit seconds later below the helicopter, all captured by this GoPro camera, this luminous object that was captured on camera in conjunction with the helicopter activity and some of the other experimental activity on the property.
Yeah, I remember that particular situation. That was pretty fascinating.
Well,
kind of scooted along the ground, it looked like, almost.
Yeah, and then disappeared.
Yeah.
Dr. Taylor said this may be evidence of a transmedium, unidentified aerial phenomena or UFO activity. So to see something that is transmedium witnessed on the property, and this is not new as far as the historical record. When I acquired the property, I'd pulled together a number of accounts from people who claimed that they'd witnessed objects enter and exit from the mesa, whether it be flying saucer type objects or orbs, luminous objects or phenomena. These things have been reported for quite some time, but actually capturing it on camera is quite a thing, and we're collectively shocked, but also, in stepping back, not surprised, because it's all consistent with what we've been documenting and the historical record relative to the property.
Now, that October, when you were walking toward your phones, I assume that everyone's phone needed to be charged, so no one had a phone to document or take pictures of any. Yeah.
No, and we were traveling back to the security trailer in a Polaris Ranger, an open air UTV.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I was driving. The gentleman who was seated right behind me started yelling to stop the vehicle. I brought it to an abrupt stop, and I remember there was dirt flying everywhere, a lot of dust, and this is a dusty place. And it looked at where he was pointing, right up ahead of us, and all of a sudden, I mean, we were all fixated on this object that was hovering about 100 feet initially above the mesa plateau that runs the expanse of the property. And the Native Americans have referred to it as Skinwalker Ridge for generations.
Mm-hmm.
That was a really compelling event, and it changed me. It presented a problem because I could no longer be a skeptic. I had to either acknowledge the reality of what I had witnessed with other witnesses, credible witnesses at my side reporting, and you couple that with the other correlating events and activity, and it all points toward the fact that there is something very real happening at Skinwalker Ranch that defies any natural explanation.
Right. Now, would that be considered an electromagnetic situation that drained the batteries? I mean, what can actually do that? Is that what it would be?
You bet. Yeah, but what would cause that? What technology would be in use to have that happen? I mean, this occurs on a pretty regular basis. People often say, well, if you're reporting equipment malfunctions and battery drainage, rapid battery depletion, and these kind of incidents, how are you able to document this? How are you able to actually have a docuseries like the secret of Skinwalker Ranch? And the answer is redundancy. What people don't
Mhm.
realize is at any given time, we have many cameras simultaneously recording. We have several drones in the air that are documenting what is happening. And it is pretty typical that we have one or more of the pieces of equipment failing. And we're fortunate to have some level of redundancy that helps us capture the record. And there are incidents that occur that render everything to a degree um,
Mhm.
inoperable. We've had
Oh,
some
wow.
some pronounced outages there that have really compromised our recording and our documenting. And so it's it's only because we have redundancy that we have been able to capture many of the events that have played out.
That's really amazing. I've heard many incidents where people have a UFO sighting. I'm only talking about UFOs where their batteries are drained. I remember a woman was filming with a regular video cam in a field, a cornfield, and this triangle was coming over her, and all of a sudden her battery dies, and her extra battery is dead, and everything is dead.
Yeah.
It really is quite amazing.
Well, when you have dozens of documentary filmmakers, you have some of the most talented people
Hmm.
in film and television that are are all witnessing this. They're all attesting to this fact. I mean, I've run out of the number of people that come up to me on site at Skinwalker Ranch and say, "Look, my everything from my data card has been completely deleted, swiped, or manipulated, or camera batteries have been depleted and drained in the middle of this activity." I mean, there's so much, and it's sometimes frustrating in that we don't get an opportunity to present that in the docuseries. They
Hmm.
don't, the History Channel and our production team doesn't want to break the fourth wall, as they say, and they, a
Hmm.
lot of that documentary evidence, while real and in our files, does not get presented to the public. I think like it should, because that's data. That
That's
is
part of it.
very
Hmm.
very useful data that confirms what we are dealing with.
Hmm. Now, the several months that you first owned the property and nothing was happening, that has happened before because I've heard, people talk about there being like a few years there where nothing happens. But you seem to be initiating, I mean, the team seems to be trying to keep it initiated.
Well, we're stimulating the environment. I have
Yeah.
to give credit. I mean, there's not only an observational science effort, but a very engaged experimental effort in order to hopefully uh, create at least some interaction using instrumented balloons, instrumented rocketry, some of the most advanced instrumented drones in service to poking the hornet's nest, as Dr. Taylor would say, has
Yeah.
been a defining part of our investigation, and it's confirmed that there's something in the sky. There's something there above the ranch that is unexplained, and is cloaked in most instances. I mean, we're dealing with phenomena that has the ability to not only manipulate our reality, but also be able to cloak itself. And
Hmm.
it's it's both frustrating and exciting to be able to document this
Hmm.
and continue to explore.
Now, can you tease a little bit of season 5 without giving too much
Yeah.
away? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned earlier that we explore previously unexplored regions of the property and come up with some very, very interesting events and evidence that there's something going on here that is not easily explained. The people involved, I mean, they were in great danger this past year. There were a number of events where there was very real danger involved with the activity, and it was disturbing. The covert military surveillance continues. And we've seen everything from Black Hawk helicopters descend on the property in the middle of the night in conjunction with our experimental activity in the past. I mean, Army Chinook special ops helicopters unmarked that sweep the property. We've also seen continued surveillance of the property from unmarked aircraft or aircraft that is I think purposely and deceptively scrambled or hidden. And so the plot thickens, if you will. I mean, this investigation and my research with the team out at this property is getting even more dynamic and even more interesting with every passing day.
I wonder if that has anything to do with the former, government involved in the investigation of the property.
Well, it's a fact that the property, the Skinwalker Ranch, was part of a Pentagon-funded black budget program for a number of years, where tens of millions of dollars were focused and devoted to this effort. I mean, many individuals at the Pentagon and in various circles identified the property as having national security importance. I mean, when you look at the fact that our airspace is being violated by craft, by objects of unknown origin, and there is definitely technology that is being observed and documented that can manipulate some of our most critical satellite systems, our GPS, for example, that is I think critical to the way we operate right now on this planet. You look at all of those things, and that it's no wonder that that it has captured the attention of the government and various authorities. But understanding who may be involved with some of the more covert surveillance is baffling.
Right. Now, one last question here. The hitchhiker effect. I know you must hear that constantly. Is there a lot of concern about that when people come to the ranch?
Well, Martin, whenever someone enters the property, I mean, they have to sign a liability waiver, a confidentiality agreement, the liability waiver acknowledging that there is danger involved with being on the property and these topics. It's a fact that we have a number of our team members and outside parties and participants that have reported phenomena following them home that has attached itself to them in various ways, sometimes very disturbing. Members of our team have left the property and ended up having things happen to their families and within their residence that have been documented, captured on camera, and we have a fairly comprehensive data set that has been emerging, documenting the phenomena following and attaching itself to these participants, and people refer to this as the hitchhiker effect. It's one of the more sobering aspects of the investigation at Skinwalker Ranch. I think it's one of the reasons why Mr. Bigelow refuses to ever set foot on the property ever again, along with with former military that were consulting on the property. There are a number of people that we have communicated with that have been on the property in the past that refuse to ever set foot on that property due to the risks and some of the disturbing activity and incidents that followed them that they attribute directly to Skinwalker Ranch.
Very interesting. Well, good luck, Brandon, with season 5, and maybe we'll have you back next year for season 6, right?
Yeah. Well, the investigation is going to continue.
Yes.
We were conducting research and had our effort in full swing long before agreeing to the documentary series and allowing television cameras inside the fence. And I can tell you it's going to continue long after. This is a comprehensive effort to document the nature and reality of the phenomena, and we're very, I think, honored to be able to have this stewardship and bring this to the public. So thank you so much for your interest, and
You bet.
get ready. It's
All
going to
right.
be a mind blowing season ahead this next week, April 23rd, 10/9 Central, and
Yeah.
we'll look forward to comparing notes in the future.
Excellent. I'm going to play this one more time. Thank you.
Go.
Thank you. We are on the cusp of discovering the secret of Skinwalker Ranch.
The world is watching.
This season on The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch.
We need to flood Skinwalker Ranch with instruments. Maybe we send 1.6 gigahertz at him.
This is unlike any experiment we've done before.
Heads up, they're coming down.
Oh my God. Is there some invisible force causing this to happen?
What is inside the mesa?
Look at that. It's like jelly. I don't know what the hell that is.
The data shows the triangle could be a wormhole.
No way.
I don't think the public is ready for what you got.
Is the military letting us know we're being watched?
Do they know something we don't? What is that?
The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch. New season premieres Tuesday, April 23rd at 10. Part of history's strange and unusual. Only on the History Channel.